In this video, we will uh, code a rock paper scissors game using Python. So let's see what we are going to do. We will create a code to do to implement this. You can say to implement this game stone paper scissors, and it is saying that press 1 for scissor, press 2 for stone, and press 3 for paper. Let's press 1. So it is saying that player's choice is scissor and computer's choice is scissor. It is a tie. Okay, let's run it again. And let's say for now is 3. So it is saying paper, paper, it is a tie. So we are using random module. So it is just giving me random numbers from the computer side. Or when we play rock, paper, scissors game, most of the time we got tie because most of the time we just do same, you can say we just do same things. So let's run it again and let's say again 3. So now it is saying it is a tie. Now let's run again and say now we are have choose stone and the computer's choice is paper and computer wins. So let's run it again, and let's say for now I'm choosing 2, and let's run it again. Okay, 2 and 2, and now it is again tie. Run it again. I'm choosing 1 tie. Run it again. Now choose 3. So it is saying I'm saying 3, and it is saying player's choice paper and player win. So I think I have missed some code here. That's why. So I have I have missed the code, yes, here. So let me do this first. So now if we choose 3, and it is saying computer's choice this and player's choice this, and this is again we will run, and let's say 1, and now again computer wins. So let's code this. How can we code? Let's remove all this for now, and let's run this. So now we are getting blank output. So let's create. So what we need to do first, we need to say print, and we need to say that. So let's say we will use multi-line string. So we are using 3 chords, and let's say this is a stone paper scissor game. So now we are using this to make it good, and let's say we want to say that 1. So okay, let's say press 1 for stone, press 2 for scissor, and press 3 for paper. So now we are using stone fun scissor 2 and paper 3. So we will press these buttons, and let's say it is an okay. Now we will say that user will give input. So we will use input function rather than print. So we are taking input, and uh, this message will be displayed for user to print give input. And let's say mm, we will say I. So now we are storing this input in I variable, and let's print this first. Okay, let's run this first and print I also. So let's run this. And so now we are having this, so let's remove some space from here. Now let's run this again. Okay, this is looking good now. And let's say we are having 1. So it is printing 1, run it again. Let's say a user press Y. Y is not a number, in Y is not in 1, 2, 3. Let's run. So it is printing Y. But we need to, this is a string input, it returns the string. So we need to convert it into integer. So let's say integer I is equals to integer I. Run it again, and let's say if user enters Y, so it will say that it invalid literal, that is value error. So what we do here, we will use uh, a try catch block for exception handling. So we will say try this. So we are having 3 inputs. So if we have input like 0, then this is also an invalid input. So what we can do, we can also check if I is greater than 0 and I is less than 3. Okay, I is less than 4 means 3. Then it will be okay. So pass. Else we will say print invalid input. So, and let's say if we have some error, so we are having value error here. So let's say accept value error, and let's say print please enter, let's say invalid input. Okay, now we have done this. Let's say again run this, and let's say if we have Y invalid input, run it again. Let's say 3, let's say 5 invalid input, let's say 1. Okay, it is a valid input, so it is not returning invalid input. Now if we try 1.2, let's see what will be the output. It is also a invalid input, because this is not a integer number. That is not, we are trying to say, that is not a number that is in 1, 2 and 3. So that's why it is a invalid input. So let's say now run it again, and let's go here. So we have defined this. So now we will get the use, you can say, in computers input. How can we get computers input? We will use random module for this. Import random, and computer will have value 1 from 1 to 3. So let's say computer's value is j. So now we are creating a variable j here, and j is the value from random, and we will use random module, random function, and let's say random integer. Now it will return random integer from 1 to 3. So if we print j, let's print j now. Run it again. Let's say 1. Okay, it is not printing now random. Okay, print random integer. So invalid input, it is printing invalid input. Okay, now it is printing random. Now we will print value of I and value of j. So let's print. So now we are getting values of I and j. So we are getting value of I is equals to 1 and value of j is equals to 3. Run it again and press 2. Now this is user's input, and now we are getting output as 2 2, value of I is equals to 2 and j is equals to 2. So now we are having yeah, computer's input and the user's input. So let's remove this from now, for now, and now we will create a function that will find now we will create a function that will find who wins. So now we will call this function here. First we need to create this function. Let's say def play. We need to pass users input and the computers input. So we are saying that, let's say here, one for stone, two for stone, paper, scissor, one for stone, two for scissor, three for paper. So let's say if I equals to j1 and j equals to 1. Now we are checking if we have I1 and J1. So I1 means stone for users input and stone for computers input. So those are inputs are same. Then we will say print it is a tie. Before that we will print player's choice. Here we will print player's choice, and then we will print computer's choice. So how can we print these choice like stone for player and stone for computer? For doing this, we can create a dictionary like D. We are using D variable for creating dictionary. And in this dictionary, we will say A if A, then A is stone. So the key is 2, then the value is scissor. What stone? Okay, stone, scissor, and paper we are using. So the third one, if we have 3, then if key is 3, then value is paper. So here we will say player's choice, and we will use variable d as we are having dictionary, and we will pass the key in the square brackets to get the value. So we pass the key as I is equals to 1, and 1 is for stone, so it will print stone. And this will be our j, that is computer's choice, and it will say it is a tie. And let's copy this as we will use this many times. And now we will use L if condition, because we use L if ladder for multiple conditions. Now we are having condition is if we have I is equals to 1 but j is equals to 2. So 2, what is 2? 2 is scissor. So if stone and scissor is there, stone versus scissor. So now what who will win? So stone versus scissor, and then stone win. So stone we the player's one's choice, player's choice is stone, so player wins. So let's say here player wins. So let's write first what is the rule. So let's say print rules, and let's say rules is mm, stone versus scissor. Stone versus scissor, and if it is, then stone wins. Then if we have stone versus paper, then paper wins. If we have scissor versus paper, and then scissor wins. If we have scissor, okay, scissor versus stone, stone versus paper, paper versus scissor. Okay, stone versus. Now we have versus stone versus paper. Okay, stone versus paper. We have scissor versus paper. We have, and these are the things. If we have another like, then we will see. So now we are having these choices: player choice, computer choice, and then player wins. Now copy this and paste this, and now we will see I is equals to 1 and j is equals to 3. So if we have stone and paper, so one is stone and other is paper. So let's see the rules. One is stone, other is paper. So stone and versus paper, then the paper wins. So one is for stone and three is for paper. So here computer wins because computer is having the variable j. Now let's again paste it, and now we are having I is equals to 2 and j is equals to 1. So I is equals to 2 means I have the value, I choices scissor and J's choice is stone. So stone versus scissor. Let's see stone versus scissor. Stone wins. So whose choice is stone, and the choice uh, of computer is stone because J is stone. Again, like this. Now we are having I is equals to 2 and J is equals to 2, and then it is a tie. Now again I is equals to 2 and j is equals to 3. Now the I is equal to 2 means scissor versus paper. And let's see the rules. Scissor versus paper, and then scissor wins. So whose choice is scissor? So scissor versus paper. So scissors choice. Okay, player's choice is scissor. So player wins. And now we will say I is equals to 3 and j is equals to 1. I is equal to 3, then paper and stone. So paper versus stone. Let's see the rules. Paper versus stone. Then paper wins. So whose choice is paper? So 3 means player's choice. So player wins. Let's again call, let's again paste this. And now we are saying I is equals to 3 and j is equals to 2. And 3 versus 2 means paper versus scissor. And the scissor wins. So let's see the rules. Paper versus scissor, and scissor wins. And whose choice is scissor? So the computer's choice is scissor. So now we'll say computer wins. And the last thing is I is equals to 3 and j is equals to 3, and then it is a tie. So if all the if conditions work, and if we have another, if we have a input that is not we have covered in this, so that will be a invalid input because we have covered all the possible values for a valid input. Invalid input. So this is how it will work. So here we will call this, now here we will call this play function, and let's say here I and j. So what we have done here, we have import the random module. We have created a dictionary for stone for the values of 1, 2 and 3, and we are printing rules, and then we are taking input. We are using random integer numbers for computers input. We have defined a function. In that we have computed all the rules and the output for these rules. If uh, computer have some input and player gives some input, so we have defined all the rules. And in the try catch block we are saying that I will be a integer number. So I we are creating in, we are converting it to an integer, and if it is saying that if it is not convert it cannot be converted into an integer number, then we will give a value error, then we will say invalid input. And this is how all it works. So let's run it and see what will happen. So now it is saying store rules. Okay, so we are having some extra spaces. Just remove these spaces from here, and let's remove these spaces. Okay, let's run it again and stop and return. Let's see. Okay, extra spaces also not cleared now. Okay, now it will be okay. It will look good now. So now it is looking good. It is saying rules: stone versus scissors, stone wins; stone versus paper, paper wins; and stone versus paper, scissor wins. Okay, scissor versus paper, scissor wins. So let's give it some. Okay, now we will say here, if we write here, so it is saying that stone, player's choice is stone. So we have pressed one. So our choice, okay, player's choice any means my choice is stone, and computer's choice is scissor because of random integer function of module. So and the player wins because stone versus scissor, then the stone wins means player wins. Now run it again, and let's give the input as 2, and it is saying that player's choice is scissor but computer's choice is stone and computer wins. Run it again and let's say 3. Now player's choice is paper, computer's choice is stone, so player wins. Run it again and let's say 3 again. So it is saying player's choice paper and computer's choice scissor, computer wins. So this is how you can work with this mini project. You can create this mini project, these simple steps. This is very simple to create. We are just using a random module, and we are just um using if else ladder. So this is how we can create a simple rock paper scissor game.